Up here in the top left, you'll see the Ministry Zone drop-down box. This will be very important, especially if you have multiple Ministry Zones. This is where you will rotate through those. If you have a single Ministry Zone product, like Youth Assistant or like Children's Assistant, you will not have all these other Ministry Zones listed here. Otherwise, products like Inspire the Works will have all the Ministry Zones listed. This is the product that I'm using for this video. So I'm going to work out of Youth Ministry in this video. And you'll see that I have some graphs listed here. These are what we call widgets on the dashboard window. A dashboard is a high-level overview of what's going on in your ministry. From here, you'll see the widget will show me some graphs that's showing my attendance, and then also some bar graphs here at the bottom that shows percentage-wise or number-wise what's going on in all of my attendance events in total for youth ministry. This widget over here in the middle called iDates, this shows any important dates that you have coming up, whether that's a birth date, a anniversary date, or any other scheduled date that you've made. The Facebook widget is not a Facebook app like in the sense of the internet program. What this does is it rotates pictures of your individuals and allows you to have an opportunity to put their name to a face. So you can learn what individuals are coming to your ministry a little quicker, and then also have the option to shoot them an email if you'd like, if you have something you'd like to talk to them about from right here. Very handy for learning new individuals. The Last Here widget, this shows you all of the people that have been perhaps missing in action for a certain number of weeks in a row. You change those options by clicking on the orange box, and then you can go down and tell it how many weeks they've been absent and choose those fields for that. And any of the orange boxes, when you click on those, give you the options to change the settings for each one of the widgets. Now, if I click on the individuals section here in the left side of the menu bar, this takes me to the individuals area where I can view all of the individual information and scroll through and start working with my individuals and doing something with their information here. At the very top, I have our profile. This is where all the searching happens. We will cover this in more detail later on in other videos. The search here is not for searching on things like show me all my people with a birthday in May. This is for searching and sorting through this individual list. So if I click on, say, N, and then press the Tab key, it takes me down to all the individuals that their last name begins with N. Now over here on the right, this shows me the picture and then also the name and high-level information about a person, such as address and birthday. I can also map their address if I need to. From here we have our list field items. Think of these like folders in a filing cabinet. This is where a lot of different information is sorted and contained for your individuals. Things like cell phone numbers, email addresses, household relationships, and any other custom fields that you make, they will all appear right here. This section is fully customizable. You can add in as many fields as you need to into this list item section, so you're not limited just by a certain number of customizations. Here in the bottom, you'll see our Insert, Change, Delete buttons. These remain the same looking throughout the software, so anywhere you see these icons, you will know that that is what that button actually does. Now let's scroll over to the household section, and it's laid out very similar to the individual section. If you'll notice, we've done this on purpose to make it where you don't have to relearn a lot of different windows in the software. It makes it easier to learn our software. Works the same way as you scroll through the individuals. You can click on a record and scroll through and it'll stay there just as it does in the individuals section. When you choose a list item field and scroll through the individuals, it changes the information here, but it doesn't start moving around and you don't have to reselect contacts again to see that information. Notice that households and individuals look very similar. They are connected. If you haven't watched the Inserting Individuals video, I'd recommend doing that. It shows some of the connection between these two areas. Now here at the top you'll see the orange menu bar. This is where you will access buttons like the Transfer, Print, Help, and Close button. The Transfer button is where you'll go to actually transfer individuals from one ministry zone into another ministry zone. That is, if you have multiple ministry zones in your product. So an example would be a child has reached the age where they need to go into youth ministry. You would use the transfer button to actually move their information over to another ministry. The print button, this is where you access any kind of information or tools to get information out of the system, whether you're printing letters, postcards, emails, sending text messages, doing labels, envelopes, exporting information, reports. It's all contained under the print button. So anywhere you see the print button, it should take you to this area where you'll be able to work with the individual information. We'll cover each one of these in more detail in a separate video. Now let's move over to the volunteer section. Volunteers, again, looks very similar to individuals and households. Volunteers can actually be in the software and volunteer in a certain area as well. To explain what that means is that a volunteer, let's take Heather Bauer for instance. She will be in the software, but she's volunteering in youth ministry, and of course she's not in youth ministry herself. She is a part of another ministry in the software, but she volunteers in separate ministry zones. So one person can be a volunteer in multiple ministry zones. And these items here, these little dots and the colors, show you what areas that they are involved in. Now you might be wondering what each one of these dots and the asterisk up here in the top actually means. A green dot will appear in any area that a volunteer is actually volunteering in. So I have the children's, youth, college, and adult zones listed here, and each one is color-coded correctly. And it shows by a green dot which area they are volunteering in. If you see an asterisk, it actually means that they are inactive in that area. So you can move on. You can also see additional information by scrolling over to the right. And again, this is laid out very similar to individuals in that you have your list items here, and you have the additional details about each one of the folders in this list items section. Now, remember again that volunteers are people that are already in your system, but they can volunteer in multiple areas. So this is not their default contact record. This is just kind of like a copy of it, and it's been placed into this volunteer section so that you can work with your volunteers separately, but still not have to modify the actual core record. We'll cover more details about volunteers later on in other videos. As for now, we'll go into the attendance section. This is where you handle all of your attendance. This is where you take absent present attendance, do your check-in, check-out using the barcoding, and you can also do your searching from attendance here, and you can jump in and make your reports and print out your rosters and all that from this section. We'll come into much more detail with the attendance section later on in other videos. Events, this is where you can track anything that is event related in our terms. An event is really something that is something like you charge for, like a mission trip. If you're going to take attendance on something, we recommend you put it in the attendance section. Otherwise, if it's like a mission trip, a ski trip, or something of that sort, you want to put it in the event section because we can also apply charges to that event and then track how much money they owe, how much fundraising money they have, any requirements they have to turn in, and do all that from the event section. Small groups. Small groups is really a section for just knowing what individuals belong to what groupings in your ministry, and you can create as many small groups as you'd like and then search off of those based on individuals as well. We'll cover the searching and cross-searching in individuals later on in another video. That'll go in much more depth on how to use our searching features. The forms section, this is created as like a network hub for any Word documents that you have. For instance, one good example would be, say the youth minister has a mission trip coming up and permission slips are out, and a parent calls into the office, talks to the secretary, and says that they need to get a permission slip. Well, the youth minister might be out of the office that day and their computer might be locked, and the secretary can't get a hold of them, so they need to get that form to send over to the parent for the permission slip. What you can do to fix this problem is that you can insert all of your Word documents into this area, tell it where the path is or where that file is actually located at, and as long as you're running this on a network, the secretary would be able to come in to the Forms section of our software and then access that Word document and either print it out or do whatever needs to be done with it to get it to that parent. The library is used for a lot of different options. Library was originally designed for the minister's personal library, and being able to track what students have checked out what books or what friends or other members of the church have borrowed resources from your personal library, and know where everything is at and then be able to get it back. We've also seen this used for things such as discipleship programs, checking out sound equipment, a lot of other creative ways of using this as well. Ministry resources, think of this like your digital Rolodex. This will keep track of any business contacts you have in the ministry and organize it all inside of a nice organized list for you. You can also click on contributions. This is where all of the contribution information is handled. We will go into very deep detail into the contributions later in other videos and how you actually utilize that if you have contributions in your product. Now, another thing you've probably been noticing throughout all these different menu items is that there is this Quick Ministry Profiles button here or section here in the bottom left. Think of this like quick searches. This is where you can save searches that you use very often. So I could come in and say, show me all my members, and it immediately sorts my list to show me all the people that are just members. Or I can do the same thing for non-members, and in this case I don't have any non-members in the system. But it just makes it where you can view all the information easily and quickly without having to run a new profile each time or make a new profile. Here in the very, very top right or top left of the software, you have all your menu items from the File, View, Messenger, and Utilities. Utilities will be one that you use quite often. This is where all the administrative settings are, and we'll cover each one of those in more detail and show you how to actually manipulate those and use them to benefit you more in the software. So as for now, this is the high-level overview of Inspire. You should be able to navigate around in the software, at least know what the buttons mean. And then as you go throughout the other training videos in this series, you'll see how to utilize each one of those areas in more detail and actually make it work better for you in your ministry and get the most out of the software.